It was a sunny afternoon in Oakwood when 4-year-old Harper bolted out of her house, running straight towards Officer Martinez and his partner with her hands raised high. The sight of such a young child, alone and in distress, immediately caught the officer's attention. Harper's words were rushed and jumbled, but the urgency in her voice was unmistakable. It was only when Harper pointed towards her home, her eyes filled with fear, that the officers understood the gravity of the situation and immediately called for backup. Within 15 minutes, the house was surrounded by police cars and flashing blue and red lights. All the neighbors stepped out, hoping to get a glimpse of the commotion. To their frustration, they couldn't see a thing, as there were too many police officers in front of the house of the little girl. They wanted to get inside again, but just at that moment, someone screamed loudly. Suddenly, the police officers began to run. They ran inside the little girl's house, and there was a lot of yelling. No one knew what was going on except for Officer Martinez, who was right there on the scene. "Move! Move! Move!" he yelled to his colleagues. His voice was stern and confident, but his eyes were filled with fear. "What the heck is going on here?" someone suddenly yelled. All the police officers froze, but not Officer Martinez. "And you are?" he asked the man standing in the living room. "I'm her father," the man said. Martinez paused for a second. "But if you're the father, then who is this man? But what had happened inside the little girl's house? Why is she so upset? And who is the father?" Initially, Officer Martinez and his partner were ordered to check out a wild dog running around a neighborhood, terrorizing the people living there. But as they were taking a break from running after the dog, Officer Martinez suddenly saw something, or better, someone, walking toward them out of the corner of his eye. As he turned his head, he couldn't believe what he saw. It was a little girl, all out of breath, running toward them with her hands up in the air. "Hello there," Officer Martinez said as he crouched down to her level. "Hell Enna who?" the little girl began to babble. Officer Martinez looked up to his partner, confused about what he should do, but his partner just raised his shoulders. When he looked back at the girl, her expression had changed. She seemed more in a state of panic and frustration than before, and her eyes slowly began to fill with tears. Then, she frantically began to point at a house not far from them. When Officer Martinez began to walk over to the house, he noticed that the front door was open. Suddenly, a feeling of unease washed over him. "Greg, I'm going in. Call for backup," he yelled to his partner, who was still standing next to the little girl. Without a second thought, Officer Gregory reached for his radio and called for backup. He knew to trust Martinez, as he had proven many times that his gut feelings were always right. Gregory watched as Martinez slowly moved into the house. "Police!" he heard him yell, and he reached for the little girl's hand to make her feel at ease. The little girl stared with big eyes at the house, but she didn't seem very afraid anymore. Then, she looked up at Officer Gregory and began to smile, catching Gregory off guard. Officer Gregory crouched down, ready to ask the little girl what was going on, but just as he did, backup arrived. A total of 4 police cars pulled into the street at high speed, their sirens blaring loudly. Curtains began to open, and some of the nosy neighbors even stepped out of their houses to see what was going on. Officer Gregory walked over to his colleagues and explained the situation as best as he could. "I haven't heard from Officer Martinez since he went into the house," he said to Officer Hendricks. It was clear that Gregory was worried, but he was also confused. Normally, he would listen to Martinez's orders, but now he was in charge, and he didn't know what to do. In the wake of Martinez's silence, Gregory felt the mantle of leadership weigh heavily. His attempt to marshal the officers was met with questioning glances. their skepticism palpable in the crisp air. "We need to coordinate," he stated, his voice more uncertain than he intended. Yet, as he glanced around, the nods he sought were few, the air thick with doubt. Gregory's commands, meant to bring order, only added to the confusion. "Teams 2 and 3, secure the back," he instructed. But the officers' movements were hesitant, disjointed. The lack of clear communication fragmented their efforts, leading to overlapping duties and a breakdown in the operation's smooth execution. Gregory's frustration mounted as he realized the challenge of commanding under pressure. Whispers of doubt began to spread among the officers as Gregory struggled to assert his authority. Their sideways glances spoke volumes of their uncertainty in his leadership. "Is he sure about this?" one muttered under his breath, barely audible. Gregory, catching snippets of conversation, felt the sting of their skepticism, knowing he needed to quickly regain their confidence. Outside, the neighborhood's curiosity turned to concern. Residents peered from behind curtains, watching the disorganized police activity with growing anxiety. "What's happening over there?" they whispered, their faces pressed against window panes. The sight of officers moving without clear purpose sent a ripple of unease through the onlookers, who sought answers in the chaos. Facing the murmurs of his team and the eyes of the community, Gregory knew he stood at a crossroads. Clenching his jaw, he resolved to cut through the uncertainty. "Listen up," he commanded, his voice finally finding its strength. "We do this together, methodically. We're going in." It was a decisive moment, one that would define the night's outcome. As the evening wore on, whispers morphed into rumors among the onlookers. "I heard there's someone dangerous inside," one neighbor speculated to another, their voices low but urgent. This unfounded gossip spread quickly, distorting the reality of the situation and sowing seeds of fear. The officers, focused on their task, remained oblivious to the growing hysteria they were unwittingly at the center of. Gregory could feel the weight of the community's gaze, their anxiety mirroring his own internal turmoil. Each question, each doubtful look from those he sought to protect, added to the burden he carried. "We're doing everything we can," he reassured a concerned bystander, though his voice betrayed the strain of command and the fear of failing those who depended on him. In his attempt to assert control, Gregory's orders sometimes missed their mark, leading to actions that only heightened the tension. A door forcefully opened, a shout too harsh in the quiet night. Each misstep echoed through the ranks, amplifying the sense of unease. It was clear that every decision, every move, was scrutinized, not just by his team, but by the entire neighborhood. The collective breath of the neighborhood seemed to hold as the night deepened, each moment stretching longer than the last. The scattered lights from homes cast shadows on faces filled with anticipation and dread. "What's going to happen?" children whispered, clinging to their parents. The community, bound by shared concern, awaited a resolution, their trust in the officers a fragile thread in the tense silence. Amidst the swirling chaos and the crescendo of community concern, Gregory stood resolute. The realization that his actions would define the outcome fortified his resolve. "We move forward, together," he decided, his voice now steady with determination. This was the moment to lead, to cut through the fog of misinformation with clear, decisive action. Gregory understood that leadership was not just about giving orders. It was about inspiring confidence in the face of fear. With a deep breath, Gregory signaled the backup team. "Positions," he commanded, his voice a mix of resolve and anticipation. The officers, now assembled in a silent consensus, nodded. They understood the gravity of their task and the importance of their unity. As they prepared to confront the unknown, Gregory felt a surge of leadership, ready to guide them through whatever awaited in the darkness. In the shadowy veil of night, the team relied on silent signals, a language of gestures replacing words. Each nod, each pointed finger carried clear instructions. This silent coordination was their strength, allowing them to move as a single entity towards the house. The absence of verbal commands made their approach almost ghostly, a silent storm ready to breach the quietude within. The door creaked open, and the backup team stepped into an oppressive darkness that seemed to swallow them whole. Their flashlights pierced the gloom, revealing a scene untouched by the chaos outside. Gregory, leading the way, felt a shiver of apprehension. The silence within was unsettling, a stark contrast to the tense preparation and whispered orders that had filled the moments before. With each step, the officers moved cautiously, their senses heightened. The house seemed to hold its breath, the only sounds their measured footsteps and the distant hum of the night. They communicated with glances and gestures, each movement deliberate, aware that the calm could shatter at any moment. The tension was a tangible presence among them, pushing them forward into the unknown. Despite the unsettling silence, the team found solace in their shared purpose. Their coordinated movements, a testament to their training and trust in one another, provided a sense of security amidst the uncertainty. Gregory observed his team, their solidarity a beacon in the dark. In this moment of eerie quiet, their unity was their strength, each officer a vital part of a greater whole. Harper, with her small hands clasped together, was gently guided into the back of a police car. Her calmness, stark against the backdrop of flashing lights and urgent movements, was a silent reminder of innocence. As the door closed, offering her a haven of safety, her eyes remained fixed on the officers, a quiet observer to the night's events. Inside the car, an officer sat beside Harper, offering her a smile in an attempt to bridge the gap between their worlds. "Are you okay?" he asked, his tone soft, trying to decipher the calmness that enveloped her. Harper nodded, her tranquility in the midst of chaos a puzzle he wished to solve. Her silence, speaking volumes. Harper's gaze shifted between the officer and the scene unfolding outside the car window. Her silence was not empty, but filled with a depth that seemed beyond her years. The officer watched her, realizing that her quiet observation might hold a perspective they were all too hurried to see. A reminder of the calm that can exist even in turmoil. The officers outside worked to maintain a perimeter of safety, their primary concern, Harper's well-being. They moved with purpose, securing the area, ensuring that the confusion and disorder did not reach the quiet bubble of the police car. Harper's safety was paramount, a guiding principle that cut through the complexity of their task. The officer beside Harper allowed himself a moment of reflection, pondering the serene disposition of the young girl next to him. In the midst of chaos, her calm was a beacon, challenging his understanding of strength. "What goes through your mind, Harper?" he wondered silently, her presence a quiet lesson in the midst of a night filled with questions. As the team crossed the threshold, a blanket of silence enveloped them, a stark contrast to the sirens and commands that had filled the air moments before. Their footsteps on the wooden floor seemed too loud, too intrusive, in the quiet that hung heavy in the air. The tension outside had promised chaos, yet the calm inside whispered of untold stories. The ground floor presented a tableau of normalcy, each room untouched, as if awaiting the return of its inhabitants. Furniture sat undisturbed, photographs smiled from the walls, and not a single item suggested a struggle or hasty departure. This absence of disarray, rather than offering reassurance, only deepened the officers' unease, the mystery growing with each cleared room. As the officers ventured deeper, dividing themselves to cover more ground, the darkness seemed to press in around them. Their flashlights cut through the gloom, creating islands of light in a sea of shadows. This division, meant to expedite their search, instead magnified the isolation felt by each officer as they moved through the silent house. Every shadow, a question unanswered. In the quiet, every noise became a signal. Every creak, a potential warning. The officers moved with heightened alertness, their senses tuned to pick up the slightest sound. This amplification of the ordinary, the hum of a refrigerator, the ticking of a clock, served only to underscore their uncertainty, each sound a reminder of what they had yet to discover. Room by room, the officers conducted their search, their thoroughness yielding no clues, no signs of disturbance. The silence of the house, once merely unsettling, now seemed defiant, each empty room a challenge. Despite their efforts, the initial sweep of the house raised more questions than answers, leaving the team to wonder if the answers they sought were hidden in the shadows they could not illuminate. Each room the officers entered maintained an air of undisturbed normalcy, sharply contrasting with the urgency of Harper's initial approach. Toys were neatly placed, books stacked with care, and no single item seemed out of place. The pristine condition of these spaces offered no hint of distress, leaving the team to question the disconnect between Harper's apparent panic and the tranquility within. The absence of any signs of struggle did not ease the officers' minds, but instead compounded their anxiety. The serene environment, expected to provide clues or confirm fears, only deepened the enigma. Each officer felt the tension rise, the tranquility of the home juxtaposing their preparedness for crisis, heightening the sense of unease that pervaded their search. The calm within the house stood in stark contradiction to the chaos that had unfolded outside. The disconnect between the external turmoil and the internal peace was disorienting, challenging the officers' expectations. This quiet contradiction forced them to reconsider their approach, searching for a reason behind the disparity that seemed to widen with each passing moment. As the search progressed, the officers grappled with the incongruity of Harper's distressed behavior and the home's undisturbed state. Each cleared room, rather than offering relief, only served to amplify their confusion. The lack of any tangible evidence or sign of disturbance left them pondering the motivations behind the young girl's actions, each unanswered question adding to the night's mystery. Despite the comprehensive search, the initial sweep of the house yielded nothing that could explain the situation. The officers' hope for a breakthrough, a clue that would illuminate the circumstances, remained unfulfilled. With determination, they prepared to delve deeper, knowing that understanding the true nature of the night's events hinged on uncovering even the smallest of details hidden within the silence. The stillness of the house was shattered by a scream from upstairs, piercing the silence with its urgency. The officers, momentarily frozen, sprang into action, their training kicking in. The scream, unexpected and chilling, propelled them toward the stairs. It was a sound that left no room for hesitation, a clear call to action that demanded an immediate response. Adrenaline surged as the team made their way upstairs, each step taken with purposeful speed. The unknown nature of the threat ahead fueled their haste, driving them forward with a blend of caution and urgency. This was the moment their training was meant for, facing the unknown with determination, prepared for whatever awaited them at the source of the scream. Martinez stood in the hallway, taser drawn, his posture one of readiness. At his feet, a man writhed in pain, the effects of the taser evident in his contorted expressions. Martinez's control of the situation was clear, his focus undivided. The presence of the man on the ground added a new layer of complexity to the night's events, raising questions yet to be answered. The subdued man's moans of pain contrasted sharply with the composed readiness of Martinez. The scene was one of controlled chaos, the aftermath of a confrontation that had escalated quickly. Martinez, having secured the situation, was the embodiment of authority, his actions decisive. The man at his feet, a puzzle piece in the evening's unfolding mystery, was now in their custody. The sudden escalation left the team scrambling, trying to piece together the events that led to this moment. The presence of the man, now subdued on the floor, introduced new questions into an already complex situation. How he fit into the narrative they were unraveling was unclear, but his capture marked a turning point in the investigation, a moment filled with as much confusion as clarity. The discovery of the man, now subdued on the floor, underscored the unpredictable nature of the night's unfolding events. His sudden appearance, coupled with the dramatic manner of his capture, added layers of complexity to an already intricate situation. The officers, faced with this unexpected turn, were reminded of the volatile and unpredictable nature of their work. With swift movements, Martinez secured handcuffs around the wrists of the man, his actions methodical and precise. This moment, though procedural, was pivotal in transitioning from chaos to order. Martinez's focus was clear: to stabilize the situation and pave the way for answers. The handcuffs' click signified a move towards clarity, an essential step in unraveling the night's mysteries. As the officers began to process the scene, a voice echoed through the tension-filled air, claiming a connection to Harper that none had anticipated. "That's my daughter," the voice asserted, stopping everyone in their tracks. This new claim introduced a significant twist, complicating the narrative and adding a layer of personal intrigue to the investigation. The emergence of two men, each asserting their role in Harper's life, presented the officers with a perplexing dilemma. These dueling claims of paternity thrust the team into a complex web of relationships that they were unprepared to navigate. The officers found themselves at the center of a personal dispute, the resolution of which was crucial to understanding the events of the evening. Confronted with conflicting narratives, the officers set about the delicate task of discerning truth from fiction. Each piece of evidence, each statement, was meticulously examined as they sought to untangle the web of stories presented to them. In this pursuit of clarity, the team worked with a renewed sense of purpose, aware that the key to resolving the night's confusion lay in their hands. As the officers delved deeper into the circumstances, the man in handcuffs was revealed to be nothing more than a concerned family friend. This revelation, slowly coming to light, began to dissolve the heavy air of suspicion. The tension that had once gripped the scene started to fade, replaced by a growing sense of understanding among the officers. The pieces of the puzzle started fitting together, shedding light on the evening's misunderstandings. The officers, piecing through the confusion, began to see the situation for what it truly was: a series of misinterpretations blown out of proportion. With each clarification, the events of the night were cast in a new, less ominous light, revealing the innocence at the heart of the chaos. A collective sigh of relief swept through the officers as the true nature of the situation unveiled itself. The stress and urgency that had fueled their actions gave way to a lighter atmosphere, one of relief and resolution. The realization that the threat they had prepared to confront was non-existent eased the strain, bringing smiles to faces that had been marked by concern. With the confusion cleared, Harper was gently led back to her father's arms. The simplicity of her wish, a cookie from the pantry, had sparked an unforeseen chain of events. This reunion, marked by smiles and quiet laughter, underscored the night's drama with a touch of warmth and humanity, reminding all involved of the innocence and simplicity at the story's core. As the officers departed, the night's events lingered in their minds, a poignant reminder of the importance of clear communication. The misunderstandings that had escalated into a full-blown operation were now lessons in the complexity of human interactions. Reflecting on the twists and turns of the night, they recognized the value of patience and clarity in unraveling the truth amidst chaos. Finally, the truth emerged as clear as daylight. Harper's entire escapade was driven by her simple desire for a cookie. What had begun as a quaint quest turned into an unexpected adventure, spiraling into an evening filled with concern, confusion, and a considerable police presence. This revelation brought a sense of closure, turning the night's tension into a story of innocent intentions. As calm returned, the neighborhood buzzed with conversations about the night's occurrences. Relief was palpable, yet curiosity-linked neighbor aired like the aftertaste of a strong brew. "All this for a cookie?" echoed among the gathered groups, their disbelief mingled with amusement. The event would undoubtedly linger in local lore, a curious incident sparked by the simplest of desires. In the aftermath, Gregory stood in quiet reflection, the night's events unfolding in his mind like pages of a well-thumbed book. He recognized the growth in his leadership, forged in the unpredictability of real-life crises. The experience underscored the essence of leading through uncertainty, a testament to the unexpected lessons leadership often presents. Back at the station, the officers shared a collective moment of levity over the evening's conclusion. The gravity of their profession often brought them face to face with the unpredictable. But tonight's resolution, a child's innocent quest for a cookie, offered a lighter chapter. Gratitude for the peaceful end mingled with laughter, a rare and cherished reprieve in their line of work. The story concluded with Harper safely ensconced at home, her adventure for a cookie now a memorable anecdote. This tale, while seemingly trivial, underscored the profound unpredictability and complexity of human behavior, leaving all involved with a poignant reminder of the small joys and surprises life offers, often in the most unexpected of circumstances. Harper's father recounted the surreal awakening to a home surrounded by police, his mind grappling with confusion and concern. Amid the flashing lights and serious faces, he pieced together the reality. His daughter's simple act of seeking a cookie had spiraled into an unimaginable scenario. His recounting shed light on the night's events, framing the commotion as a profound misunderstanding born from the most innocent of intentions. The heart of the evening's tale lay in Harper's innocent desire, a cookie. This simple wish, so common and yet so profound, had unwittingly set the stage for the night's complexities. It was a stark reminder of how small actions can lead to significant consequences, underscoring the innocence behind what had initially seemed a situation fraught with danger. In the calm that followed the unraveling of events, officers and the family shared a moment of mutual understanding and relief. The air, previously thick with tension, lightened as smiles replaced frowns, and laughter echoed where there had once been concern. This shared relief was a testament to the resolution of the night's drama, a collective exhale after hours of uncertainty. The night's events served as a profound lesson in perspective, highlighting how easily actions can be misinterpreted and intentions misconstrued. For the officers and the family alike, it was a reminder of the complexity of human behavior and the importance of approaching situations with an open mind, recognizing that reality is often far different from initial perceptions. As the officers departed, the night's occurrences settled into memory, morphing into a story of misunderstandings and mistaken assumptions. This tale, marked by its peaceful conclusion and the innocence at its core, underscored the importance of clear communication and thorough investigation. It was a narrative they would carry forward, a poignant reminder of their roles in deciphering the truth amidst chaos.